TNA February 10th, 2011. Now, last time I did this TNA review, I had my Randy Orton voice changer. This time, I have my gay guy voice changer. So anyway, let's get on with this. I'm going to go through this as quick as I can because I want to get into the Against All Odds predictions. The show kicked off with Immortal coming out without 4chan because 4chan turned their back on them last week. And while it doesn't make sense, I'll take it for what it's worth, and it does make TNA a little bit more interesting. The way I look at this is kind of like the core versus the Nexus. In a way, it kind of is. So Eric Bischoff comes out, talks a bunch of shit about everyone, and then here comes 4chan to the ring. And what I like about 4chan is that they're speaking out for every TNA fan that has ever been angry and pissed off with all the old guys coming in and taking their spots. They're speaking out finally. They're the voices of the internet community, and that's one of the things that I like about 4chan. So I guess we can finally start slowly heading to the end of this angle between Immortal, 4chan. Finally they have a threat, finally they're going to have battles, and we're going to see how it all ends up playing out. And I think that this really would work out better than if it were the main event Mafia. That's just my opinion. Up next, we're going to kick it off with a 6-man table match. Now when they announced this match, I was like, holy fuck, this is a great way to kick off the show. What's even better is right after they announced it, they pointed the camera at some really hot chicks. Look at these. This is freaking great. I thought the chicks from WWE were hot. Look at these freaking chicks. Oh my god. This is the reason I watch TNA. So it's a 6-person tag team match, but it really doesn't turn out to be a 6-person tag team match because Samoa Joe ends up fighting with Elijah Burke, and they end up brawling backstage, so they never get in the match. The Dudley Boys are brawling all over the arena, and then it's just Matt Hardy and Rob Van Dam fighting in the ring one-on-one, so there's really no tag team interaction at all. And then once they take it outside the ring, then the Dudley Boys take it one-on-one in the ring, so there's absolutely no tag team work in this match at all. Here we see Bubba Ray, for the first time in his entire life, getting the tables for himself, instead of Devon having to get the tables. Sets up the tables, and then he tries to once again argue with the random black fans for no apparent reason, and then they jump in the ring and they attack him and they cost Bubba Ray the match. They put him through the table, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, when did all of a sudden TNA become the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas? So then Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett call out Kurt Angle with security all over the ring, and what was really funny during this, the crowd was chanting, "You suck dick! You suck dick! Kick his ass! Kick his ass!" The fans during the beginning of the show were chanting some hilarious things. That was freaking great. And I don't know, I'm just not into this whole storyline at all. But the crowd, again, they're what really saved the segment. The next match would be every knockout in the entire roster in one match. 8 Divas tag team match, where we would see the debut of Rosarita. Seriously, these two are hot together. I gotta say, I didn't think that TNA... I think it's funny how TNA actually has a women's tag team division now. Another funny thing about this was, while the beautiful people were making their entrance, Katie Lee Burchill tries and slides in between Angelina Love's legs like Velvet Sky does. That was freaking hilarious. I laughed. She really is turning into like a Mickie James from 2006 version. And then they're arguing over the bending over between the ropes. Like, I don't know what that was. They were like arguing about it, about how they should bend over or something like that. And Katie Lee Burchill's jealous because she doesn't have an ass to show off. So the only people from the face team that were involved were Velvet Sky and Angelina Love. Mickie James didn't get tagged in. Winter didn't get tagged in. The women's champion, Madison Rayne, didn't get tagged in. But the 2 Mexican crazy chicks, they were great in this match. They put out some great moves. And overall, decent match. It was a controversial ending with Katie Lee Burchill arguing with Velvet Sky and all that. I kind of like this storyline. It's pretty interesting to me. And then for some reason, Mickie James calls out Madison Rayne for apparently no reason and just starts bitching at her. And I don't get the point of this segment. This really didn't make a whole lot of sense. It was just Madison Rayne talking about Mickie James, talking about why Mickie James is in TNA, and then saying that she's better than her. And Mickie James didn't even get to say anything on the mic, really. Guess it's some way to build the match, since I didn't even know there was a pay-per-view this Sunday. They barely announced that their pay-per-view is going to be this Sunday on the final episode before the pay-per-view. Then the World Heavyweight Championship match in the middle of the show. And then Jeff Hardy comes out with his fruity-ass glow-in-the-dark rainbow ladder and just stands there and watches the match. I would rank this match with the likes of the classic matches between John Cena and Batista at Elimination 2010. That's where I would rank this match. That's how great it was in my opinion. So we got interference from Hernandez, who was making his return to TNA, which this kind of killed his return. His return was in a backstage segment talking to Eric Bischoff. That kind of killed the surprise of him actually making his return. But at the same time, Hernandez really isn't popular enough for him to just come back and everyone be like, holy fuck, it's Hernandez! So I can't really complain about this. So Hernandez ends up joining Immortal. This kind of adds to my point of this being like the core versus the Nexus. Because when you look at the Immortal, you have who? You have Eric Bischoff. You have the security guards, the Jarretts, the Hardys. This weak team that's really not all that impressive when you kind of look at them. And then, all of a sudden, they bring in this muscle in Hernandez to do their dirty work. This is kind of like what happened with Nexus, where they brought in Johnny Stamboli to do their dirty work, the big, tough guy to do the job. So that's kind of what I'm comparing this to. The Triple Threat X Division Championship match. The Brian Kendrick versus Zack Ryder making his return, accompanied by Melina to the ring. And it's kind of funny how when Melina was injured, Zack Ryder didn't come out on the show at all. And now that Melina's better, Zack Ryder is once again back in the show. So Zack Ryder making his return after being gone for a while, and now bitching about losing the X Division Championship like months ago, I think. And we would not only get the return of Zack Ryder, we would also get the return of V. Daniels as Suicide. Suicide once again making his return, and this is incredibly great. But what sucked is that Suicide didn't win the match. They gave it to Zack Ryder. I really wanted to see Suicide, the Daniels, that's right, the Daniels, get his push again and get pushed right back to the main event. I mean, I don't have a problem with Zack Ryder, but come on. And now on to the Against All Odds predictions. I'm going to get through this as quick as I possibly can. So it's 4chan versus Immortal. The Security Guards and Rob Terry versus Scott Steiner and Beer Money. I'm not expecting this to be an incredible match. As for who I pick, I'm saying Scott Steiner getting the win. That'd be good. I mean, he made his return. He needs to win some matches, I guess. So Scott Steiner for the win. Plus, nobody cares about the Security Guards or Rob Terry. The Triple Threat X Division match to name a new #1 contender for the X Division Championship. It's Max and Jeremy Fuck against Zack Ryder and Cookie. Who would TNA pick out of these guys? The Fucks or Zack Ryder? This is just a really difficult decision. I'm just going to go out on a limb and I'm going to take a risk and say Zack Ryder's going to win it. Samoa Joe versus Elijah Burke. I really don't have anything to say about this. I don't know. I'm just going to go with Samoa Joe for the win. Mickie James versus Madison Rayne for the Divas Championship. I'm picking Mickie James. It's a last knockout standing match, so it's a last man standing match. I don't know. I'm picking Mickie James. I think she's going to win the belt tonight. Plus, Madison Rayne hasn't really done anything as champion, I don't think. So, give it to Mickie James. The Dudley Boys going in a match with Devon's black friend, his hood rats. Fuck. I'm going with Bubba Ray's gonna pin one of Devon's homies. Tyler Rex versus Rob Van Dam. Oh my god, I cannot wait to see Tyler Rex Rob Van Dam. So, that's my prediction. Tyler will Rex Rob Van Dam. Jarrett versus Angle for custody of the kids, or Angle walking Karen to the wedding. Obviously, I'm going to pick Jeff Jarrett's going to cheat to win, because I could see that as a storyline playing out. I really can't see what would happen if Kurt Angle gained custody of the kids. That really wouldn't do anything for storyline purposes for TNA. So I'm just going to pick Jeff Jarrett's going to cheat to win. Jeff Hardy versus Mr. Kennedy for the Divas Championship. I'm going with Mr. Kennedy. They better not put that belt back on Hardy. And it's a ladder match, so it should be pretty good. Both these guys have had pretty good ladder matches, and they were both in the Money in the Bank in 2007. And Mr. Kennedy is a former Money in the Bank winner, so this should be a great match. And those are my predictions for Against All Odds and my TNA review.